Shri Prabhu Chawla ji, as he has said, very old friend of mine, Shrimati Lakshmi Menon, CEO of the New Indian Express, ladies and gentlemen, Namaskaram. The term revolution has been used few times, but we Indians, what we value most is not revolution, but Sankranti. In fact, we celebrate it as a festival. Why? Because the change comes. Slow, silent change, which comes, which is not even noticeable to the layman. And history tells us that change, it is not the revolution but which lasts, but the Sankranti lasts. It takes deep roots. So with that in my mind, I will come to the subject. I am indeed grateful to Indian Express, New Indian Express, for your invite and giving me this opportunity to share my views on this important subject with this distinguished gathering. Having participated in the earlier conclaves, I do realize the impact which this conclave, this is the 10th edition now, the impact of this conclave on the opinion makers and the policy makers of the country. This occasion, I would also like to remember Shri Ramnath Goenka ji, the founder of Indian Express Group, who stood for values of democracy and freedom, even in very harsh environment. And my pranams to his sacred memory. The theme of the conclave, Remaking India, Asserting Bharat, is very appropriate as we are celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the platinum jubilee of our independence. The theme is also consonant with the objectives of our new educational policy, which seeks to transform our educational institutions into nurseries to promote Indian knowledge tradition and cultural heritage and revive India as a global knowledge destination. For us, the next 25 years would be Amrit Kal of holistic development, which would take us to the celebration of centenary year of our independence in 2047. The topic you have chosen for me today is Education, Victim of Identities. It's a very relevant subject to discuss, but somehow it also gives the impression as if we are now feeling tired of existence and interplay of various identities that abound in India. Before coming to the topic, I want to dispel that impression. The Indian culture that we have inherited is an ancient and continuing culture it has faced many adversities and waves of invasions and has survived and endured. The distinctive mark of our culture is not only the quality of antiquity, prachinta, but also vital, enduring vitality, that is Mrityunjayata, which has enabled it to last all these millennia. The secret of this staying power is not only the quality, is not just the tolerance and understanding, but it is the inherent, inbuilt capacity, quality to accept and respect all kind of diversities and pluralism which one can imagine. Indian culture is based on a universal vision which does not view a person in terms of the variable and alienable characteristics like caste, creed, color, community, but it views human beings in terms of the invariable and inalienable divinity inherent in every being, the vision of one in and behind many, as declared by Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Yo ma pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyati tasyaham na pirnashyami sa cha me na pirnashyati. He who sees me everywhere and sees me in everything, he is never separated from me, nor am I separated from such person. India started its civilizational journey with the proclamation made by Rig Veda, Ekam Sad Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. From the remotest times, our thought leaders, that is the rishis and the saints of India, have viewed diversity as the law of nature. We believe, as ancient India believed, that diversity itself can be utilized, can become a source of strength, and that all people should not be confined to one single interpretation of reality. Shri Birjendranath Seal, a former vice chancellor of Mysore University, coined a significant expression to describe India. He has used this definition or this term in his famous book. India is ever aging but never old. This phrase, this is exactly what, according to Adi Shankaracharya, the Puran word means. Puran is ancient but not weak on account of age. It is always refreshing itself. And this Shankaracharya has done in his commentary on Gita, on that famous shlok, wherein it has been said, Na jayate miryate kadachinnayam bhutva bhavita va bhuya. Ajo nityam shashvatoyam puranu. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. It is never born, it never dies. Even when the body, it has not been born, it is ever abiding. And even when the body dies, it does not die. He has used, Dr. Birjendranath Seal has used the phrase in the same spirit that India is ever aging but never old. Like Atman, India is also Puran. If you look at the civilizations all over the world, and this is no criticism of any civilization, every people have a right to grow according to their own understanding and genius. We can only try to identify the distinguishing marks between the civilizations, but no criticism of any civilization. But if we look at the world civilizations, every civilization was defined either by race or by language or by religious faith, particularly in medieval times. Now, when the race is the defining parameter, people who belong to other races are excluded. If you don't speak the same language, you are excluded. If you don't subscribe to the same religious tradition, you are excluded. But India, right from the beginning, the defining parameter has been neither race, nor language, nor religious faith, possibly because we had diversity in all these sectors. So this was a question, must have been a question for our thought leaders. How to, as Swami Vivekananda has rightly said, he said, what is knowledge? Knowledge is when you have knowledge, then you are able to see unity amidst diversity. That is the purpose of knowledge. That is the goal of the knowledge. So Indian civilization was defined by none of these parameters. It was defined by Atma. If we look at the history, the model, the ideals of the Indian society have never been the wielders of power, the kings or generals. They have always been the thought leaders, the rishis, the saints. Swami Vivekananda has said that India has only two national ideals, renunciation and service. Intensify her in these two channels, the rest will take care of itself. And that is the reason why the Indians, even if it is not consciously, in their subconsciousness, the model role is that of those who renounce, who serve the society. And as I was saying, Indian society, Indian culture and civilization was defined by Atma. Atma is spirit, which does not exclude even the animals and the trees or any being. And therefore, it has always been all-inclusive. If it is all-inclusive, earlier I was saying that the wielders of power could not create physical and political unity of India, if we look at the history. But a young man from Kerala, an ascetic, a spiritual man, Adi Shankaracharya, he established 4 mutts in different parts of India. The buildings will not create unity, mind it. he gave one Mahavakya from each Veda to these four mutts. Aham Brahmasmi Tattvamasi. Pragyanam Brahma. Ayam Atma Brahma. Four Mahavakya. All meaning almost the same. And this worked like magic. The Indians rediscovered the deep-seated spiritual and cultural unity, despite being divided into various political units. But the spiritual and cultural unity of India. And Shankaracharya did not live very long. And therefore, the basic essence of lesson which we can derive from our culture, our civilization, I mean, there are many, many excellent expressions, but which I find very appealing is what Kapil Muni told his mother after his long austerities and realization. Because the Indian tradition says that when you tapa swadhyaya nirittam, ever devoted to the pursuit of knowledge, and when you acquire this knowledge, then a deep desire is awakened in you to share that knowledge with others. When Kapil Muni reached that stage, he looked around, nobody was there. His mother was sitting at a distance. He called her, and that is famously known as Kapil Dev Ahuti Samvad. In that there is a shlok which says, Atmam sarveshu bhuteshu bhutat manam kirtalayam archaye dan manabhyam maitri abhinen chakshusha. Worship me means God. From here, this concept of Deh is Devale. The God, the body, physical body is the temple of God. You can worship me, or you should worship me by showing respect to each being. You can worship me by helping anybody who is in need, in helping him to fulfill his needs. And you should have the attitude of Maitri, friendship, abhinen chakshusha, where you do not make a distinction. Name lobh moho, name rag dosho. You should not have that feeling for anybody. That is, therefore, basically the point that I am making is that Indian ethos, Indian values, they cherish diversity. We are not uncomfortable with diversity. We are not wary of diversity. But unfortunately, unfortunately, our recent history is very painful, and which has deeply impacted our thinking. Our country demand was made to partition the country on the basis of religious faith. So now, when any demands are made in the name of protecting the identity, which create divisions and alienation in the society, then yes, we become suspicious. And possibly that is the reason that you have chosen this topic to discuss. I will generally, the recent happenings in Karnataka, where in the name of religion, demand has been made to allow hijab not in the university. There is no dress code of any university or in the country. But at the level of high school or 10+2, the institutions have the right to prescribe dress code for their students. In fact, the university where I received my education, that possibly is the only university where the university has a dress code. And at least till 1965, I got admission there. I did my high school in 1967 and joined the university as a student of pre-university, that is class 11, in 67. So, but at least till 2 years before that, you were not allowed to attend the class without wearing the university uniform. And my very good friend, Rishi Pal Singh, who was in my hostel, and after completing his education, he joined the university and retired as professor and head of the department. Other day he told me on telephone, because he was 2 years senior, 1 year or 2 years senior to me. So he said that in 65, when he got the admission, before his application form for admission was submitted, his father had ordered a sherwani for him. Before the application was submitted. Now, normally in North, also, in Aligarh particularly, this could have been associated with any particular faith tradition. But no, anybody and everybody, and people belonging to all denominations, all regions of the country. There were students from Tamil Nadu, there were students from Kerala, from Kashmir, almost all states till about 70. And everybody used to wear the university dress. So I am of the view, since we do not have much time to discuss this matter in detail, but I am of the view that this is no controversy. This is a conspiracy. This is a conspiracy, and the need for conspiracy arose because those who are spearheading this movement or supporting this demand if you look just 20, 30, 40 years back, they were in a position where they will make a demand in the name of maintaining the identity based on religion, and they could mobilize the street power to an extent, or the governments were willing to be bullied by them. And they were in a position where they could bring enough pressure to make the government to reverse the judgment of the Supreme Court. Now they are not enjoying the same kind of clout. And particularly after 2017, when Supreme Court gave the judgment declaring triple divorce illegal and unconstitutional, and not even in accordance with the provisions of the scripture. And 2019, when the law was finally passed, 2017 itself, the law which was needed to effectively implement the Supreme Court judgment was passed by the Lok Sabha. But the leaders of the opposition in Rajya Sabha did not allow it to become law. It could become law only in 2019. And now I'm sure this audience must be aware of the radical change which has come as a result of that legislation. The divorce rate in Muslim community has declined by more than 90%. These are the official figures. That kind of oppressive, threatening environment, and even those days I used to talk more about unmarried young girls who were reminded again and again by their own family, by their own elders, that if you will not behave, then this threat would loom large on your head. And they grew up in that environment. Now that has been taken away. The Muslim women are feeling a lot liberated. In my own village, in Bulandshahr district in UP, my village is on the remotest corner of the district on the bank of Ganga. I could not have even imagined to see what I'm seeing there since last few years. A girl, when she reached the age of 11 or 12, was not allowed to step outside her house. And now, I'm not linking it with the abolition of triple divorce. This is now a phenomena which is about 15, 16 years old. I go out in the morning, stand by the roadside and see more than 50 young girls cycling their way to the nearby college, which is at a distance of 7 kilometers. And more than that number, they go by public transport. This situation, including the abolition of triple divorce, has unnerved certain sections. This is a conspiracy to push back the Muslim woman into the four walls of the house. I have said it earlier and I will repeat it now. For argument's sake, accept what they are saying. Because Supreme Court has made it clear that protection of Article 25 cannot be available for everything which you claim to be part of the religion. Essentiality test has been prescribed. Only if you can show to the court that a particular practice is essential, integral, and intrinsic to the practice of faith, then only protection will be available. Now, Islam, like other Semitic religions, Judaism, Christianity, is a religion of a book. Sanatan, we can say, is a religion of books. But the Semitic religions, each one has a book. The Sanatan tradition is described as reflective. Semitic tradition is described as prescriptive. When it is a prescriptive tradition, then the tradition has itself spelled out very clearly what is essential. In Islam, it is called 5 pillars of religion. Arkan-e Khamsa. And what are they? Affirmation of faith, that is kalma. Prayer, that is salat. Fasting, roza. Zakat, the charity money, alms, which you are obliged to give. These 4 are compulsory for everybody. And the 5th one, although it is in the list of the essential, but it applies to only those who have enough resources to travel. Hajj is the 5th pillar. Now, nobody has a right to make any alteration in this list by adding something to it or deleting from it. So, first of all, the tradition itself tells you what is essential. Secondly, if you accept their argument, now realize, please imagine, just imagine, there are so many Muslim women who are working in police force, who are working in security agencies. There are so many who are working on television as anchors and news presenters, so many who are engineers, who have broken the glass ceilings. And they are into doing jobs which were earlier the pure domain of the males. Now, can they perform their duties? Why, if it is accepted as essential and intrinsic to the practice of the faith, can they do their job? Will you ask them to resign? Surely they will not resign. Then they will live with this sense of guilt. If the society accepts that it is essential, then you will make them live with a sense of guilt that because of their job, they could not practice what was prescribed by their religion as something essential. Is it fair? So this, in my opinion, this is a conspiracy. And purpose is to limit the career prospects of Muslim women, so that as a result of that, their interest in education is diminished. And we all know education is the only means, is the only game changer. You need not labor about it. Basically, the purpose is that their interest in education is diminished by limiting their career prospects. Interest in education will be limited. And if interest in education will be limited, they will be pushed back into the four walls of their houses. Can we allow this? We are living in now 2022. Can we allow this to happen to a section of our women? This is not the problem of the Muslim women alone. This is the problem of the country. Because not only that they will be losers, but they will also be stopped from making contribution to the society, to the country at large. They will be where they will not be in a position to look after the. You can see the difference between the children of an educated mother and an uneducated mother. What those children go through. So surely we cannot allow this. So we cannot allow education to become victim of this identity, and we cannot allow this conspiracy to succeed. Hijab, I have already in so many forums I have explained. The term hijab has been used 7 times in Quran. Nowhere it has been used in the context of the dress, what dress a woman should wear. And nobody, till now this debate is going on since last about a month, nobody has challenged it. They are merely, it's with some people, it has become a habit that they will always raise this bogey of religion in danger. Therefore, I feel that as far as possible, we should try to ignore them and do not give them the importance which they hope to receive. With one more point, I will conclude that India, what our thought leaders, this is a conclave on the subject of education, ThinkEdu. What was the reputation of India? In the 11th and 12th century, when the European Renaissance had not yet taken off, yes, for about 100 years, the Middle East, with its capital in Baghdad, it had become a hub of intellectual activities. And this hub of intellectual activity, how it is started? It is started with the translation of Indian books into Arabic. It is duly recorded by the Arab historians themselves. All the space studies, the basic book was Surya Siddhant, which was taken by Kanak Pandit to Baghdad. And when some portions of the book were read out to the ruler, Mansur, he was so fascinated that he ordered the translation of the book into Arabic. And Baghdad and Spain were not on happy terms. There was a very strong rivalry between the two. So the Arab ruler of Spain of that time, he paid a huge bribe to these scribes. Because all these books were handwritten, he paid a huge bribe to the scribes to secure one copy of the book, which in Arabic was named as Hind Sindh. If you read the accounts of the Arab historians, what they say, almost every historian, whether it is Tabri, it is Ibn Asir, Ibn Kasir, it is Qifti, they all say, this point is almost common, where they have written about India. They say that the world has 5 major civilizations. All others followed one or the other. And then they describe that the Iranian civilization, Persian civilization, is known for its majesty, the Roman for its beauty, chivalry, the Chinese for its craftsmanship, Turkish for their bravery, and Indian civilization is the only civilization which is known for promoting knowledge and wisdom. All of them concede this. So, India has been hub of knowledge. And now, as I said earlier, the new education policy aims at reviving that tradition. And this is not just the new education policy. Our thought leaders, thousands of years back, they had also conceived of India becoming hub of knowledge. There are 2 Sanskrit lines. Say, Etat desha parshu tasya sakashad agraj anmana. Swam swam charitram shikcheran prithviyam sarvam anava. Our thought leaders had conceived of an India where people from all over the world will travel and come to India. We will have such great teachers that they will come to learn about their own culture and their own tradition. Not to learn about India, but they will travel to India to learn about their own traditions, about their own culture. This is the kind of India which we must believe in, and we must march towards that goal with confidence that we can do it. Thank you very much. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Jai Hind.